Welcome to
Yes.
the Masterclass, making decisions that allow you to shift your paradigm. This is Winning the Mind Game series, and we begin by asking a very simple question. Do you want to live a more fulfilling life? I'm sure most persons will answer in the positive. What we're hoping to do today is not just to inspire you. What we want to do today is to inspire you to take action, to invest in yourself. And we hope that by the end, you'll want to talk to us about how you can begin permanent change with equal dynamics. So at this point, what I want to do is to introduce you to Bob Proctor. So, equal dynamics is part of the worldwide movement with the Proctor Gallagher Institute, of which I happen to be a coach and consultant with. So let's spend a few moments listening to Bob Proctor introduce the masterclass today.
Dennis, I'm not hearing anything. Is the video not playing?
Right. Oh, thank you. Okay. All right. Give me a second. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm.
Hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor.
Hearing
Do
it
you
now.
know, over the next
Yeah.
few minutes, you are going to have some absolutely incredible information shared with you. Do you know, I could go back many, many years, 55 years ago. I was one lost soul. I was sitting in a fire hall in the suburb of Toronto, and a man gave me this book, and he said, if you do exactly what I tell you, you can have anything you want. Well, I didn't believe that, but I believed he believed it. And so I thought, I'm going to do exactly what he says. I have never looked back. I have earned millions of dollars. I've had an absolutely phenomenal life, and it just keeps getting better. I have no intentions of slowing down. I'll be 82 here in a day or two, and it just keeps getting better. I got the energy of somebody that's 32. And you know, what you're going to hear over the next few minutes is the essence of everything that I've studied over the past 50 years. Listen really carefully to what they're going to explain to you over the next few minutes. And if you're wise, if you've got your ear to the ground, you're going to see how your results will change dramatically. How you can multiply your income, you can improve your relationships, and you can live in a healthy body. I have studied for a long time. These people have got the answers for you. Listen carefully to them. Hello there and welcome. I'm Bob Proctor. Do you know, over the next few minutes, you are going to have some absolutely incredible
Here, but less.
information shared with you. Do you know, I could go back.
Give me a second there, little technical issues. It's fine.
Many, many years.
Okay, let's proceed. This is your personal journey, and I want to emphasize that what we are focusing on today is you and how we can, in fact, help you to live a better and more fulfilling life. That's our purpose. Bob would point out, change is inevitable, but personal growth is a choice. I'm going to ask Casey to get a sheet of paper and a pencil if you can. And that we want to, as I said earlier, not just inspire you, but to inspire you to take action. So we are going to make this interactive as is possible. Do you have a written goal? Do you have a money goal? Put a yes or no in the chat to indicate if you have written goal and if you have a money goal. If you're in business, then generally you'll have two. You'll have the professional goal, the business goal, and you'll also have your own personal goal. Now, we're going to find that what happens, that many times we avoid the money goal. And usually it has a lot to do with our view of money. And we're going to look at that in the presentation today. All right? So, at this time, I want to just clarify something. What is the difference between your purpose, your vision, and your goal? The purpose is why you're here as a human being. And I'll try to explain a little bit onwards as to what that means. If somebody asks you, who are you? You say, Dennis. That's your name. It's not you. But your purpose is why you're here. What it is that you are contributing. Most persons' purpose relates to serving other human being. You may want to serve people in the medical field. You may even want to serve people in a restaurant, bar, whatever, but you are providing service. Even if you're a teacher, whatever it is. Your vision is the things that you want to achieve. Only thing that you want to achieve. When you're young, for example, you have a pretty good idea what you want, the things that you want. But as you get older and go to school, they begin to carry you in a direction. So things must be logical and realistic. Those are the words that they use. So people abandon their dream. I will explain why that happens and what we can. So what actually happens if you do not have a goal? So from your purpose, you develop a vision as to the things that you want, not the things you need. And then you select one out of it. And that becomes your goal. Maybe you have a goal to achieve something in 5 years. You may have a goal to achieve something by December this year. But we'll examine that a C-type goal, what we call a C-type goal, is a goal that is going to excite you. And it's usually of a sentimental character. Things that you need don't excite you. Once you may motivate the and that is why the majority of people don't do what they really want to do. So in the absence of clearly defined goal, you become extremely loyal to performing daily trivia. What does that mean? Because you're doing the same thing that you have always been doing, and you continuously get the same result that you have always get. So you become enslaved by the routine, the comfort. Although you may feel stuck, you may feel confused, you may want to aspire for more, but you're not sure how to go about doing that. So we would suggest, for example, make a list of all the things you want. All the things you want. That's why I asked you to get a paper and pen. And then you're going to circle one that is the most important thing. The one that you want to do first. Let us say. And I want you to think about this. Whatever it is that you're making on a yearly basis, how would you feel if that was your monthly? I don't care whether the figure you are making is 4-figure, 5-figure, 6-figure, or 7-figure. It doesn't matter. Everyone wants to grow and to do more and to be better than what they're presently doing. So this is an exercise. I'm going to ask, rather than do it now, you can begin, but I'm going to ask you to take this as a kind of homework assignment to make sure that we don't, because time is always, I want to respect your time. So, how do your mind work? What we are trying to do here is to help you understand why you are where you are, and what it is you need to do to begin to live the life that you meant to live and the life that you really want to live. So when we talk about the mind, for example, most persons think of the brain. The Bible would say the brain is not your mind. Just like the brain, your mind is not the finger. Those are simply organs that carry out certain function. The mind is literally in every cell of your body. We'll get to that a little more in terms of our explanation. So all things begin in your mind. That is your thought. Most of us are not taught this, so we don't understand what it means. What you give power to has power over you if you allow it. Our mind is a driving force to unfold our reality. We're always using our mind every moment of our life. Unfortunately, the majority of us use our mind to self-sabotage ourselves. We literally keep ourselves in a mental prison because our mind is constantly dealing with things as to what we cannot do. When we're not blaming other people, we are blaming ourselves. Or we are not good enough, whatever the case may be. So understanding how your mind works makes a big difference and can result in better relationship, better attitude to work, health, and all aspects of your life. So let's look at the mind and your mind. In 1934, there was a gentleman, a doctor, who was in the healing arts. And he came up with this diagram. Because he said the mind is an activity, not a thing. No one has ever seen the mind. But in order to gain clarity and eliminate confusion, we will create an image. And that is what he did. This image here, which seemed very simple, but is very profound, as we will see over the next couple of minutes. And then the top half, so you have a large circle and a small circle. And the top half is the mind. So you divide the mind in two parts. Conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And of course, the small circle represents the body. So the body is an instrument of the mind. That's why it is larger than the body. Bob Proctor pointed out that this is the most valuable idea that I've ever learned. He spent a considerable amount of time trying to put together all the different persons in personal growth up to that time. And this was put everything together, and you will see why this is so when you begin to see how the mind actually works. Let us look at the process involved. You have an idea, let us say. Now, as I said, we have the conscious mind, and we have also our senses. This is the thinking mind. You have the subconscious mind, which is the emotional mind. That's the doing mind. And this is where many people don't understand. 95% of your activity is automatic. Let's think about it. I think most persons here are able to drive a car. When you were learning to drive the car, you observe everything. They told you what you need to do. You get in the car, you need to, the ignition key, you need to position yourself properly, you need to look in the rear view mirrors, before you start the car, you need to do certain things with your feet. No. After these years, what do? Do you think that was enough? You go in the car and you have to know where you're going. It's habit. Get up in the morning, you have a particular routine. And that's why we talk about the doing mind. And of course, the body is where the action takes place. That is where you move into action to do whatever it is, like the example I used for driving. So the conscious mind accepts or rejects, whereas the subconscious mind must accept. It is what we call deductive. And we'll get, as we go along, we'll get into that. So what happens is this is energy is always flowing to and through you constantly. We are energy, so that is the natural phenomenon. Right? So who are you? Like I said before, many of us think we have our name. Or you may say, this is me. That's your body. Here is an explanation. You're a spiritual being. You have an intellect, and you live in a physical body. Far as we know, animals have instinct, other animals have instinct. We, as humans, have the ability to think. That's the intellectual faculty. And there are 6 of them, we'll just name them quickly. Your imagination, your intuition, memory. So imagination is where you create the things. Your intuition is what we call gut feelings. Some people historically usually call it the 6th sense. But for our purpose is not. And then we have the will. That's the ability to concentrate on whatever you're doing. Reasoning, that's the ability to think in a certain kind of a way. And your perception is how you see things, your point of view. The body moves into action based on what is going on in the subconscious mind. And that then is the action creates a reaction. That's the law, by the way. And therefore, that is what changes the conditions, circumstances, and the environment. So if you are constantly thinking about where you are, what is your present result, what it is you don't have, then what happens, you get into a cycle and you keep repeating the same thing. So here we're just looking at the senses there. We're going to move on and say, I'm going to pause for a while here and play this video from Bob. And I'm going to ask you to pay careful attention to what he's saying. Make notes if you can. And then we will, review it, go through it in greater detail. I'll add further explanation. But listen keenly, because I think this capsule what it is that we are doing today. And there's no greater teacher than Bob Proctor. Except me. So let's listen to Bob.
I chose Wix for my business because of its massive scope for functionality and freedom.
We don't need to react to them. We can respond. We can listen to what they're saying, and they say,
Sorry.
I went through how the conscious mind works, how the subconscious, and how the body is an expression of the mind. And as you go through that, if you go through it a few times, you're going to see, that's exactly what happens. Now, I want you to think of this for a moment. When you impress an idea upon your subconscious mind, that alters the vibration of this instrument we call our body. See, our body is a molecular structure. Really what it is. It's a mass of energy in a very high speed of vibration. Now, we invented a word to describe our conscious awareness of vibration, and that word is feeling. If you ask a person, how are you today? They'll say, well, I'm feeling fine, or I don't feel that good, I feel great. You never hear a person say, I'm consciously aware of being emotionally involved with a negative idea, so therefore I've moved into a negative vibration. But that's exactly what happens. So, you see, as we start to understand this, and we become aware that we're not feeling too good, we can change it. Now, it takes a little training, but you can do it. We are really in charge of how we feel. Now, we let other people upset us, but we don't.
have to let other people upset us. We don't need to react to them. We can respond. We can listen to what they're saying, and they say, well, you're entitled to your opinion, but that's just not what I'm like. And we can hold our own idea of ourselves.
More options means even more affordable ideas for your bathroom from Floor & Decor.
Amy's not at work. She's on Get Your Guide, planning for her next trip.
You see, it's important that we grasp how the mind works and that we understand the relationship of the body to the mind and the mind to the body. Now, it's our results that we want to change. Now, our results could be in our physical body. It may want to be, you may want to cast off a few pounds. You may want to put on a couple of pounds. You may want to have a little higher energy. See, all the energy there ever was or ever will be is 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. Everything's energy. You know, you'll hear people say, where does he get all the energy? Where does she get all the... Nobody gets energy. Everybody releases energy. Desire is the triggering mechanism that, whoo, lets the energy flow. Now, let's go back and have a quick review. Here you've got the little stick person here. There you've got the conscious mind, and remember, you have the sensory factors hooked up to the conscious mind. And then you have the subconscious mind, and then you have the body. Now, the conscious mind has the ability to choose thoughts. Those thoughts turn into pictures. We turn the pictures over to the subconscious mind, and then the subconscious mind expresses the action, all right? Now, what is the problem? Remember, we said the subconscious mind had no ability to reject. We said the subconscious mind cannot differentiate between what's real and what's imagined. How did we arrive on the scene? I'll tell you. When you arrived on the scene, you did not have any conscious faculties developed. The sensory factors weren't even developed. This is how you arrived. That's called the little life. That's the baby. No conscious mind. So there's the subconscious mind. It's wide open. You can put anything in it. You see, your subconscious mind is programmed genetically. That's why we look like our relatives. It's built right into the genes at birth. But then we're programmed environmentally. Carl Menninger from the Menninger Foundation in Topeka one time said, environment is more important than heredity. Why do you think you speak the language you speak? You speak that language because you were surrounded by people that speak that language in your little life. And the language just went right into the subconscious mind. If you grew up in a home that was bilingual, you learned both languages. I had an associate over in Kuala Lumpur, had a little boy, he spoke 4 languages at 4 years of age. And you'd look at that and you'd say, my gosh. No. The baby was programmed. Why do you like the food you like? It's programming. That's right. Now, let's stop and think about the environment we were raised in. Here's the baby, and look at the ideas and the thoughts and the concepts that are going on around that baby are going right into that baby's subconscious mind. Now, through repetition, over and over and over again, and remember, the baby's getting it all day, all week, every week, all month, every month, all year, and this goes on for 4 or 5 years. And the baby reaches the age of 4 or 5 where they can start to think that baby's programmed. That baby is programmed to think like the people it had been surrounded by. If the people that surrounded that baby had gone right through school, the baby will probably grow up and go right through school. If the people that were surrounding that baby always lived in hard times, never had any money, always in debt, that's probably how that baby's going to grow up. Now this is bizarre, but this is how it happens. It's how it happens for me. I was raised during a depression. We didn't have any money. There was always talk about no money. You should be satisfied with what you've got. Well, that's not true. You should never be satisfied with what you've got. You should be happy with what you've got. Dissatisfaction is actually a creative state. So here we have now a baby that has been programmed. Now, let's take and think for a moment. What happens when that baby starts to think for itself? Now think of this. The paradigm controls the vibration. The vibration controls the action which produces the result. Now here we go. Here you got the baby with the paradigm, and the conscious faculties have developed. They have the ability to think. There's a power flowing into them. What are they going to think? They're going to think thoughts that are in harmony with that paradigm. That's right. We've been raised to believe you go to work to earn money. Do you know that working is the very worst way to earn money? That's right. You should go to work for satisfaction, not for money. You provide service for money. You can earn money while you're sleeping. In fact, we have programs where we teach people to actually earn more money while they're sleeping than they'll ever need to use while they're awake. You say, well, that's a pipe dream. No, no. That's a paradigm that causes you to think that's a pipe dream. There's people doing that that are nowhere near as bright as you. But here we are now. We've got the person. They've been programmed in their little life genetically and environmentally. That paradigm is nothing but a multitude of habits. A habit is an idea that's been programmed into the subconscious mind over and over and over again. Now, the paradigm is literally controlling the behavior. Consciously, you can think of one thing, but subconsciously, the other idea will be controlling you. See, we can sit down and we can read these self-help books, we can listen to the recordings, and we say, yeah, well, I can do that. That makes sense. That's logical. But then we can't do it. Why? Now think of this for a moment. I want you to imagine that you're going to accept an idea right now to turn your annual income to a monthly income. You say, well, I'd like that, but will you do it? Probably not. Your paradigm will stop you. See, your paradigm literally controls the results. Now, let's think of how the paradigm was formed. The paradigm was formed through repetition. The idea is being planted in your subconscious mind. Now, understand your paradigm dictates your logic. Your paradigm controls how you utilize your time. Your paradigm controls your perception of situations. Your paradigm controls your effectiveness. Your paradigm controls the amount of money you earn. If you want to change your life, you must change your paradigm. You see, to most people, it's illogical that they could take and turn their annual income to a monthly income. But if you follow our teachings, we'll show you exactly how to do that. We'll show you how to accomplish anything you want to accomplish, because what we're focused on is showing you how to change the paradigm. And when the paradigm's changed, your life changes. It's a beautiful concept. It's an absolutely phenomenal concept. Now you know why you're getting the results you're getting. It has nothing to do with your intellect. Your intellect, you can figure out how to do things. That doesn't mean you're going to do them. You'll hear people say, I believe that, but their behavior would indicate they've never even heard of it. Why? We believe something on a conscious level. On a subconscious level, the paradigm believes something else. There's a word called praxis. Praxis is the integration of belief with behavior. We've got to take the beliefs that we have consciously, that we determine by thinking, and plant them in the place of the old belief. See, I used to believe that I couldn't do anything better than I was doing. I felt fortunate that I was on the fire department. The idea of building a company that operated all around the world, furthest thing from my mind. But you know something? As I changed my paradigm, my whole world changed. That's what we do. That's what it's all about. You've got to change your paradigm if you want to change your life. Now, you can study all you want. If you don't gain an understanding how to alter that program, and that's what the paradigm is, it's a program. It's a multitude of concepts that are fixed in your subconscious mind that literally control your behavior. It's a beautiful concept to understand. It's a terrible one if you don't understand it, because it literally controls your life. Why do you think most people go right through their life and keep getting the same results year after year after year? Well, it's just the way it is, and they don't know. We should be taught this in school, but we're not. How is the paradigm formed? Through the repetition of information. How's the paradigm changed? Repetition of information. Now let's suppose you're having a difficult time with money. You find that you got more going out than coming in. You've got to change your concept about money. How do you do that? Through the repetition of an idea. That's where affirmations comes in. I'll give you one that I've been using for years. I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. You don't just say that once or twice. You've got to repeat that maybe 1,000 times a day, every day for maybe 90 days. And you'll start to change your whole concept about money. Wealthy people all have multiple sources of income. Now I'm going to tell you what happened to me. I drove around with a battery-operated record player and a long-playing record. And I played it over and over again every day for probably a couple of years. This was so totally illogical. It was behavior. Everybody thought I was losing it. And I'm reading the same book every day, Think and Grow Rich. As a matter of fact, I'm still reading the same book. And it was the repetition of Earl Nightingale's information and the book that changed the paradigm. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't understand what I was doing, but I did it. Do you know, I had a man come up to me in the Waldorf Hotel in New York, the Waldorf Astoria, at the end of a 3-day program, and he said, Bob, I really want to thank you for what you've just given to me. He said, for the first time in my life, I've understood how I accomplished what I did. I said, what did you do? He said, I won the gold medal in the decathlon in the Olympics in Melbourne, Australia in 1957. That's right. Milt Campbell. And he said, I never understood how he did it. He said, the next time you run a seminar, I want to bring my boys. And he did. Milt and I became great friends. In fact, Milt has a key to our house. He can come stay there anytime he wants. I live in Toronto, he's in New Jersey. But here was the top athlete in the world, a very best athlete in the world. He didn't understand how he got there. Most people that are very accomplished cannot tell you why they are. That's why they are. They've rewritten the program. They changed the paradigm. They might not have understood how they did it, but they did it. That's what our company is all about. We teach people how to change paradigms. I want to thank you for watching this, but I'm going to ask you to share it with other people. Share it with them. Say, come and watch this. Start a rapport. Build a rapport with people, you know. It's a great way to live. And this is great information to understand. Thanks for listening. It's Bob Proctor. I enjoy sharing it with you.
Yes. So what I'm going to do now is just repeat some of the concept that he raised. And one of them is about infant. Remember, he points out between 0 and 6 years of age, the child has no consciousness as yet. The senses are not developed sufficient. The subconscious mind is quite hooked, and therefore, since this is where all information is lodged. So, parents and family, your environment, your immediate environment. Many people do not understand how does a baby learn to talk. And sometimes they claim that somebody teach them. No, they observe and they mimic and they do whatever it is that is going on around. That's why they learn to talk. They learn to walk. They start out, they fall down, they get up again. They never give up because they have no choice. Right? Whatever is going on, radio, TV, cell phone. Many times a year, mothers say, oh, my child is very smart because at 3 months he's using the cell phone. But what they don't realize is this. From that child was born, the parent has the cell phone there and they are scrolling. They're constantly scrolling and using the cell phone, and the child observes it and does the same. That's what happened. They learn every single thing. And in addition, there's an element which I want to people. The child picks up vibrations. They don't know what they do. So babies, for example, you'll have people come to your house and the baby will go very nicely, with them. And there's another set of person may come and the child begin to cry. The child not going to them. That's vibration. The child knows and senses those things. So all of these elements, when you start to go to school, that is what Bob referred to as the programming that takes place primarily between 0 and 6. That's the programming. So you have the positive and the negative. But there are positive things, how to brush your teeth, how to do certain things. They're positive, but there are also negative stuff. Money don't grow on tree. And I hear you talking about, so if depending on where you are, or what type of family that will help you. Let me just go through very quickly the process that is involved. You have an idea. You want to turn that yearly income into your monthly income. You want to buy a house. You want to succeed. Maybe you're going to college and you want to get a degree. Doesn't matter. So what happens? In many cases, the idea is energy is flowing to and through you. But there are only one thing which keep emerging constantly in that, and that's ignorance, which is not knowing. We're not talking about being stupid. We're talking about not knowing. And that's a negative. And what does that create? Worry and doubt. You begin to think about something and then what happens? Worry and doubt begins to appear in your conscious mind. Negative. And the result is what? Fear appear in your subconscious mind, your feelings. You don't think you can do it, and therefore that begins. Negative. And then what does that mean? In the body, anxiety. And your feeling is suppressed. They create the depression and dis-ease. The body is at dis-ease. And that results in disintegration. That is a basic law of the universe. You either create or disintegrate. You cannot remain still. I have friends who say they retire and they're just taking it easy. No, you're not. You're not doing anything, you're going to disintegrate. Or if you do creating, then it's a different thing. So that is the negative side. That is where most of us and most people end up. And I usually tell people, if you want to say a poor old person, remember that they were also a poor young person. But on the other side, what do you gain on the positive polarity? That everything in life has two sides, up, down, in, out, positive, negative. All right? And therefore, on the positive side, what happens? You entertain a positive idea, positive thought. And what happens? You have to gain understanding. That is what is going to help you. How do you gain understanding? You gain understanding by study. And this is where the first hurdle comes up. Because our notion of studying is associated with school. And it was not a very good experience in most cases. Not a very good experience because they want you to read a book, say what was in the book, and you get a grade. So this, when you impress the thought in the subconscious mind, you develop faith. That is, you begin to believe that whatever ideas you have to turn that income, to get that house, to live in a certain kind of way. And therefore, what happens in the mind? Well-being. You begin to express feeling, joy, happiness. And therefore, it creates acceleration. That is, you're moving with a sense of urgency, but you're not hurrying. Two different things. If you're mathematics, scientists, they understand it before between acceleration and speed. That is, you can move quickly, and therefore what happens? You're at ease. And then what are you doing? You, in fact, are created. This gives you the process that takes place, and we use the stick person to explain what is actually taking place there. Right? That is the process that is involved. Now, we think on frequency. Thought is waves. So if you are here at a certain level, all of us, you are earning X amount of money. That is where you are thinking. That is where your thinking is. Because that's what you know to do. That's the results that you are getting. However, you may have a goal in mind. You want to achieve something. So you make a kind of decision. Yes, you would like to do that. As soon as the child reaches of age, that's usually one of the excuses that we divorce. As soon as I get the money, as soon as the opportunity arrives, and then what happens? You still get the same result that you have always been getting. And then eventually, what happens? You give up. You settle and be comfortable where you are. This is where you are. However, your mind and your thoughts are here. For you to begin to go towards any goal, you must have your mind at the same level to which your goal is. You become what it is. Let me explain. I have your cell phone number. I can take my phone and I can send you a photograph and you receive it instantly. Why? Because I have your number. If I don't have your number, I can't send you anything. So it means that I would not be on your frequency. And this is what happens, thoughts. So you have to make a committed decision. And this is where school doesn't teach us this. Many times parents don't teach you about making decisions, but they make it for you. So you have to think and act like the person you want to become. You have to be at the same frequency as your goal. That's what you mean when you say you become what you think about. That's what Bob talks about. You have to think and become the thing that you want to achieve. You want to purchase a house? You have to have an image, a picture of that house. Is it a 3-bedroom house, 2-bedroom? Is it a duplex? How does the bedroom look? Do you have a view? You create all of that in your mind. But no. You begin to think about, in the negative, ignorant side, you begin to think about the prices of house. And then you say, the prices of house are this, and I don't have the down payment. And you go through a whole set of worry and doubt, and therefore you give it up. And that is what it is. That's what we're talking about. So how do you make decision? Want. What you want is the only prerequisite for making a decision. This is very difficult for most of us to understand. However, we have experience of things that we want, and we got it. We didn't think about how we're going to get it. That is why successful people get the things that they want, because they're able to make decisions fast. Why do people make decisions, sir? Because they have a goal that they're going for. They know what they want. And that's why I asked you at the beginning to write down a list of the things that you want, not the things that you need, what you want. But that is what's going to inspire you to do and to become it. But what holds you husband is what Bob talked about, paradigm, which is a mental program that has exclusive control over your habitual behavior. Right? And most, as I mentioned before, of your behavior is habitual. 95% of it. So to be able to shape your future, you have to be willing. That is, you have to prepare to make the sacrifice which is necessary. And you must be able to change the paradigm. When the paradigm stay in control, nothing changes. And read all the books you want. You can self-help books, watch Inspired. So you'll see people will go to church, they're inspired by the sermon, but they leave and continue to do the same things that they always do for the next 6 days until they go back again and feel inspired and they go through this routine. Never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, you have to build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. You have to replace it. That's why if you're if you're a drinker, for example, and you drink a lot of alcohol, not beer now, I know that some of you will confuse the difference, right? And if you want to change, you have to replace it. To do something that is going to change. And there are only 2 known ways to change the paradigm. Only 2. One is what Bob talked about. The same way how it was created, you have to do the reverse engineering. That you have to find out what is holding you back, and then you develop an affirmation or a prayer. Doesn't matter. Same thing. But it must be specific. Bob pointed out, I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. I now earn 100,000 each month. That's being very specific. Not like what happens many times. You hear people talk about that they are praying for blessings. I talk about the intellectual faculties. That's the blessing. You have it already. It's within you. You have to use it. What you sow, you reap. The second method is, in fact, an emotional impact. Some person may die, sometimes you're at this job and you think that this is it. You lose the job and now you're faced with a situation in which you may need to go and do the thing that you always wanted to do. So, let's just summarize some key tips and points so far from this presentation. Here. 1, you always start with your wants. What it is that you want. Write them down and then decide on one of them. You go for what we call a C-type goal. Things that you have not done before. Anything that you have done before is not necessary. It don't mean you don't have it, but it's not a good goal. It's not going to inspire. It's not going to push you. I know, for example, example I can give is writing a book. Getting up every single day and just doing a certain amount. I've never done it before, but I aspired towards it, and I've done it. Your thoughts create your feelings, and that leads you to be act, thereby creating your result. So your conscious thought, you impress it on the subconscious mind, that's your feelings, the emotional mind, and then that propels you into action. But again, as we said, the paradigm is going to surface and try to keep you back. So you attract whatever you think about most of the time. I met someone and, they were saying that they pray that they don't lose their job. They pray that they don't break up with their boyfriend. They pray that they don't become homeless. And in 3 months, everything was achieved. And that person was very confused. And I explained to them that you are the one who attracted those things because that is all you were thinking about. You weren't thinking about increasing your income. No, you were thinking about losing your job, and you did do that. You achieved it. Repetition. The same way how a child learned by repetition and was programmed, we have to reprogram our mind in a similar manner. And we do that through study to gain understanding and awareness. And more than anything else, we need to associate with like-minded people and something which we may not have here, which is mentorship. Birds of a feather flock together, the old time said. So you have to surround yourself with the dreamers and the doers, the believers and the thinkers. But most of all, you surround yourself with those who see greatness within you, even when you don't see it in yourself. And many of us who had great mentors, I know someone here who would understand what I'm talking about. My principal, Douglas Farage, he could see in you what you did not see in yourself. And therefore he would give you advice. But here's what the trick is now. If you do exactly what he tells you, you will make progress. But if you think you know everything, and you want to do what you want, then you'll get the result that you will do. And this is what happened to most of us many times. We don't take from those people. So we are on top of the hour, we're running a little bit behind, but let's just listen very quickly to Bob closing off and directing us. And we'll spend a few minutes after if there's any questions that people have and want to ask.
Well, there you go. Now think of this for a moment. Have you any idea what could happen to you, to your way of thinking in your life over a 6-month period? Now think of this. We invest in everything under the sun. We invest in clothes, we invest in our cars, we invest in our gardens, we invest in our houses. Very few people invest in themselves. You see, the thing I learned as I started to study this book, every dime I spent on me, I would get back tenfold and very, very quickly. If you really want to change your life, don't ask yourself, can you do it? Just like that, make up your mind to do it. If you have to borrow the money from your grandmother to do it, I say that because that's where I used to borrow the money, then borrow it and fix everything in your life. Learn how you can multiply your income. Learn how you can live in a healthier body. Learn how you can have more meaningful relationships. You see, life can be absolutely incredible, but we have to become aware of how to make it that way. You and I have the ability to take one of these things in our hand and write our own ticket. I'm telling you, invest in yourself. It's the best investment in the world. You are God's highest form of creation. If you're stuck, if you're not really making the progress you want to, start. Get involved in what I call exponential growth. Most people are involved in linear growth, if there's any at all. They go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Exponential growth is when you go from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, boom, boom, boom. And it just keeps getting better. We've put it together. There's over 50 years of research. There's people all over the world use this. Make sure you're next. Don't ask a person beside you what they think, what they're going to do. What are you going to do? Follow that quiet voice from within. Now listen, when you go to step out and do this, the old paradigm is going to try and hold you back. Just say, get out of here. I'm doing this. I'm growing. Try it. You'll love it.
Okay. I'm going to stop the recording here. Oh, that's going to be.
Well,
Okay.
there you go.
So you need to make a decision. And we are suggesting to you that, as he pointed out, it's up to you. If you are not willing to learn, no one can help. If you are determined to learn, no one can stop. Every great dream begins with a dream. Always remember you have within you the strength, patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. And we're Tubman, great writer there. We have several programs. I won't get into them very much here that we offer and which you can in fact set up a call. There was special promotion with some of the programs that we have. So if you're interested to, you can take a thing or if you have, give me a call and let us talk about what can be done to help you to begin to get permanent change. All right?